What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Northern Valley. We are back here to finish our university that we started last episode. Now, when I had first set out to make the university downtown, I really only wanted it to be like one city block worth of study, university, whatever you want to say, campus. But after we did the last episode, I was like, this looks kind of small, and I know we could do a little bit better. So I figured, why not make this like a huge university? Not huge, but like at least a couple square blocks worth of university. So a lot of this episode is trying to find things that fit kind of that modern, technologically, I guess, innovative style of building. And I think we get that for the most part, but I think at times we're kind of lacking, but we'll check it out in the live portion. But so yeah, you saw me put the one big building down. I figured that could be some sort of main administration type thing, or at least some sort of classrooms. And then we had the Wendy's here from last episode, I pointed out. And I'm going through now and making a drive-through. Now, this is definitely not my original idea. I've seen many people, Strict Toaster, Fresh Popcorn, and the likes, they have done drive-thrus before. So really nothing innovative here from me, but definitely new to the city. A lot of the ploppable fast food restaurants don't actually have drive-thrus kind of built onto them. So we had to improvise and make it ourselves. So we're just making a little bit of a line, or a lane rather, with some of these lines. And trying to stack a couple of cars in there, make it look like the Wendy's is, cooking. And of course we needed the little speaker, and for that I just found some sort of little pillar and a little bit of a sign as a menu board. So really kind of like how this came out. It's definitely new for me, but just finding those little pieces, even though the pillar isn't exactly like a speaker, it's got the effect. I mean, from a distance you don't even notice that it's almost as tall as the cars are. But yeah, I went ahead and I put some of those modern lights in as well, because I figured this is an Institute of Technology and Advancement of Sciences, or however you want to call it. We've definitely named this as well. We'll check that out in the live portion to see if your name was the one used. Nah. But yeah, we're going through now, placing a few more of these faculty buildings that I had placed in the last episode. Now, these are actually giving us student capacity, 800 students per building. And I'm using the Move It tools to bring these buildings and make them look like they're one big building. Now, these buildings, in theory, still function, and I think they actually do still function according to the game, even though they're kind of on top of each other. As long as they're kind of connected to the road still, they will still function. So that's really cool. And of course, it gives a little bit more flavor. It looks like one big building, even though all of the entrances here are kind of separate. So you're seeing me place some of these little tiles down. I was desperately trying to find something to cover up those parking spots, because right now they obviously don't make any sense, because they're right on top, or actually into the next building next door. So I tried to go through the props and find something that would have, I was thinking maybe I can build a pseudo building at the base of these buildings and maybe make that cover up those parking spaces, but nothing really worked. So in the end, I used the flower beds and for the most part covered them up. And then I tried to use these blue tiles I'm putting down right now to cover up the rest of the what are those, tan tiles, whatever you want to call those, the brick. It was very strange. I put these blue tiles down, and then I stepped back, and I was like, yes, perfect. All of the parking spots have been covered up, and the other tiles are just gone now. And then I zoomed in a little bit, and they came back. It's having a weird, thing with the game where it's trying to, figure out which set of tiles is gonna pop to the top of the stack. So, yeah, from a distance, that looks good. But when you're up close, the parking spaces are still there, so it's a little bit of a bummer. I just couldn't really figure out any alternatives. But yeah, you saw me go ahead and zone for some commercial, and I went ahead and made this college into a district, and I made it into a leisure district. So we are going to have a bit of a nightlife down in this area, which is cool because, a large college like this would definitely have a nightlife. You like bars lining the streets, college kids partying, and all around having a good time. So yeah, we'll definitely be seeing a lot more of those buildings kind of pop up. And I did want to kind of maybe go through and make a district or a building set with the theme editor to get more modern kind of buildings in, but that's something I still have to look into. But yeah, you saw me use some of the same foliage and bushes and all that kind of stuff from the first block worth of college that we put in the last episode. I kind of wanted to keep that same theme going, and I actually went ahead and did something that I haven't really done a lot of in this game, and that is put bushes in clusters instead of just kind of accenting or putting them in a line. I've been doing a lot of that, where I just kind of use the line tool and put a bunch of bushes down in a straight line. And of course it doesn't look bad because the bushes vary in size by default in this game, but I mean, it's very linear. So I actually went through and I just kind of grouped them up, and it was to fill a bunch of space, but in the end I really like how it came out. It gives much more of like a natural look to the area, and that's something that we wanted to achieve in Northern Valley's downtown areas. Now, I did want to mention that there are a couple of the taller buildings that will eventually be placed in this. A couple of them haven't gone in just yet. I think we're putting one in right about now, maybe coming up here in the time lapse, but a couple of bigger buildings. And if you step back and look, it looks like the college is kind of its own kind of downtown area with a couple like taller buildings. It kind of stands out. So what I'm thinking we're gonna do is in the couple squares of city adjacent on that main road, we'll kind of still keep with the taller building theme. Now, we're not gonna go through and actually have like skyscrapers, like huge buildings like we do in the main kind of core of downtown, but I do kind of want to make the other side of this main road with the bus lanes a little bit more dense. And I've gotten a couple comments that have said we don't have a downtown that's really dense, and part of that's by design. I really didn't want to go extremely dense with downtown because this kind of, it wasn't meant to be a massive city, but I did want to keep kind of things, I wanted to work the nature into the downtown area, and I think we accomplished that. But I do think we could take it a little bit in a different direction as we kind of build out the rest of the city. Now, the main core of downtown, in my mind, is more of the historic part, and I think the newer buildings, we kind of, if people were building out, they'd be kind of stretching for space. That kind of happens a lot of times in downtown areas where the older parts of downtown had more space because naturally they had more land to build on and everything could be spaced out a little bit more. But as newer things come in, you're just kind of struggling to put things in and fill space. And of course, developers want to get the most out of the land that they possess. So we're going to kind of have that mentality probably in the next episode when we start to build that area out. I'm not sure when that'll come out. We still have so much more to do in Northern Valley. The rest of the downtown that I've been talking about, we do have to do. We have to have some sort of freight dock, like a shipping dock, and then a airport, and it's just, there's so much left to do, and we're just kind of taking little bits off at a time and trying to get as much done per episode as we can. So yeah, anyway, we are of course detailing the rest of this episode here before we go live. And this, what I'm doing right now with these barriers, was something that I didn't want to do, but as I started detailing the back of this building, I noticed there were some parking spaces back here, and I was like, oh crap, how are cars going to be able to drive back here? Like, how would this be possible? Because everything's so kind of built next to each other. And so I had to kind of make a pseudo driveway for that area, and then of course put those barriers down. And you're just seeing me kind of use that same conglomeration of bushes, if that's the right word, to just kind of fill out these dead spaces where there was nothing going on, and really just keeping this little nature area involved in the university is huge for me. I think it's just it pulls really strong influence from what I wanted to do with the downtown area, and it really just pulls it all together. I love it, and I think when I started this university, I was like, I don't know if this is really great. I mean, I feel like I'm just kind of building the way I can build, the way I know, and it just wasn't great. But then as I started to put the details in, as I frequently do, I'll just realize, like, wow, this little detail pulled the rest of this together. This whole thing looks like it's now one big property, and it's actually turned out very well. And I really like how this university has come out now. And yeah, I don't know. I had a little bit of a worry, but in the end, I think it really comes together really well. So you're seeing me now do a little bit with the rocks like we did on Winstanley Isle, and this really is the end of the time lapse. We are gonna pop into the live portion now and check out in more detail what we have been doing. All right, guys, so we are back in Northern Valley in the live portion. Now, the first thing you're gonna notice is funny story. While I was going through and doing the time lapse, I had the simulation running because I wanted some of those growables to grow in, and we apparently had a huge fire. Like, it's charred most of the city, and it's funny because it took all of the trees that it possibly could out. And I think technically, like, if I'm trying to listen, it might just be the water from the river. But yeah, these might still be on fire because they are actually glowing with like a weird golden hue to them. But I don't think they actually have like a fire animation because they were downloaded as, you know, mod assets. So these might still be on fire. I'm not sure if this fire is still raging, but it kind of decimated everything that it could decimate throughout the city here. Let's see, does this... No, these are still... I don't know, these might be growing back. I'm not sure how long it takes for stuff to grow back. Now, some of these actually... It looks like these just kind of browned out, but if you go back, they're definitely charred. Yeah, so all of the buildings that we've plopped seem to be still here. Now, it really took a toll on a lot of the foliage, as you can pretty much tell, but it looks like everything that is still, that we placed is still here. So I had gone through and actually put a couple more fire departments downtown, so hopefully that will help, and it looks like, oh, no, I thought this was on fire, but it's not. Cool. So, yeah, that's what happened there, but, you know, while we're over here, let's take a look at something positive, and that is that we've gone ahead and lined the shores of the river with these rocks again. Now, I really like how this came out on Winstanley Isle, so I've decided we should probably just use that for a lot of the other rivers around here, unless it's kind of like over here where it's got the cement wall, and then over here I didn't really put anything in, although maybe I should have now that I'm looking at it. But I love how this looks because it's not that crappy texture that if you get too close, it just kind of looks like poop. But this gives it a little bit more definition, and it looks a little bit more... It looks natural in a sense, but it also looks like we've put those down just to keep the waves and the river from eroding the rest of the earth away and kind of, you know, jeopardizing, I guess, our infrastructure and our roads and stuff. So there's that. But let's get back to the college, what we did in the time lapse. Now, we have named this, and we have named it Trova. Now, this stands for the, where is it? The Technology Research Institute of Northern Valley. Now, there were a couple really good names that you guys came up with, and this one had one of the top upvotes, and it was actually kind of like discussed. Like, a couple of you guys went through and had a discussion over it because originally we had wanted Novatech, and Novatech is great, but someone had pointed out it sounds like more of a vocational school or like a I don't know, like not a lower class. I'm not saying that. You know what I mean? It's not like a college. It's more like a trade school, a higher level trade school. So we've gone with Trinova, and I tried to type in the Technology Research Institute of Northern Valley into the district, and it doesn't fit. So Trinova is here. We'll just have to try to remember. It's kind of a long name, not gonna lie, but you know, it works. So, all right. So what I had kind of talked about and hinted at was the taller buildings in the college. So if you kind of go back and take a look, we have our main downtown area. and then we have kind of like more high density stuff, and then we start to kind of lose that. But then you have the college, which has some really big buildings of its own. Now, I thought about this kind of long and hard, and I was like, should we keep the college kind of lower like we did in the first block of building? And I was like, nah, let's kind of build this up. So we could kind of pretend that maybe this over here was the original college land, and then they've kind of expanded since then, and with grants and tuition money, and built out this really massive area. So as they've expanded as a college, they've been able to then build up in their little plot of land that we have kind of assigned for them. So I love how this kind of came out. All of these buildings look like this modern kind of feel, and I really wanted that to kind of happen down here. So with that in mind, I went through and I tried to find and pick out some of these buildings that looked the part. And I really love the what is this? The Paradox Plaza that I placed here, because like this is such a weird plaza to begin with, because it's kind of got this like really sci-fi kind of feel to it, but it fits so well down here. It's great. I love how it kind of sits there, and it just kind of accents that. And I feel like if I could get some sort of modder to work on like a Trinova logo, we would put that in there. That would be really cool. So if any of you guys are modders, please let me know, and we'll work that out. But a lot of these buildings actually have like a purpose. Like this one's actually a police station, and it's got actual holding cells and actual police cars that come out of it. I like how it looked, except for the fact that it's got like a star on it, but you know what? It's fine. It's not like anything glaring. Yeah, it kind of is, but it's not that bad. It looks great with this kind of main road into the college here. And then this tall building right next to it is actually a hospital, so we could figure that they are pioneering some sort of high-tech medical practices and testing them in the university hospital. That's kind of an interesting thing, and I believe this is actually like a monument, I think. So we will have people coming down to visit this, and I don't know if this is actually, oh, this is. I believe this is the, this building is, I think it has an earthquake sensor. So someone had actually pointed out that I forgot to put one of those in, and this is it. I'm not sure, I don't remember if this was a mod or not, and if not, or if it is, it's really cool. But, yeah, that fits the part too, and of course this is just an office building, but like I said in the time-lapse, we can pretend it's administration or some sort of dorm, maybe, like a massive dorm. And speaking of dorms, I tried to kind of put some of these in. Now, this isn't a lot, so we could, I guess, imagine that some of the taller buildings actually are dorms and house some of the many, many students that we have in this college. I'm not sure what the count is up to, but yeah, some of these here are like semi-on-campus, off-campus housing. And maybe they aren't even affiliated with the college. Maybe they are actual, like, rented apartments. But I amended a couple of these together with the Move It tool just to kind of make it look like it's one building. And I really love how that Move It tool can do that. Like I said, I did this over here where it all looks like just one building. And you notice, like, as I kind of move the camera around, just the lines fighting to be on top. And, like, some angles it looks as I intended it to, which is that. And then some angles over here, it's not. It's got the gray and the tan. And we have cars that are now just parking in it. But you know what? We're not going to point that out. We're just kind of sweep that under the rug and, you know, look at the college from a distance. But yeah, that is Trinova. That should just about do it for this episode. Not much to comment on, but I guess if you guys know how long it takes for like the trees and stuff to grow back, let me know. If there's a way to expedite that, let me know. I might have to put some sort of building down or a cleanup crew or something. I'm not sure how that all works with the new DLC, but you guys can let me know. And then in the next episode, we'll go ahead and build the rest of this downtown area out. And then that will be the end of the high density stuff for sure. I had originally intended it to stop up there, but no, this is going to be it now. And then we'll get into more of the suburban areas. So guys, if you're looking forward to that, leave a thumbs up on this video if you liked it. Thumbs down if you hated it. And guys, Until next time, I will see you back here in Northern Valley.